Alright, everybody, welcome to the showcase. Today I'm going to be showcasing the new Johnny Godly and the rest of the JoJo units. So we have Avatar Glorious, almost everybody, and unfortunately I could only get Overlord on Gyro. But we do have Glorious on everybody as well. I have none of their skill trees, but they all have triple S stats. So um, I think for the first part of the showcase, I just started this Infinite, so I'm kind of waiting for my thing. Okay, I think for the first one, I'm gonna start with Gyro. So you. Alright. So he does do 3 million placement. He has crippled. It looks like he's pretty cheap to max out, only 7 upgrades with 587. Alright. And he is only ground placement. So before I forget, let's put you back here in case anybody comes by. You should. Yep. Alright, so let's see any passives. Each unit in range receives a 5% range buff. Every 3 waves teach a new lesson and increase the value of the buff. So Mentor Spin. Wave 3 plus 10% range. Wave 6 plus 15%. Wave 9 plus 25% range plus 5% DOT damage. Wave 12 plus 30% range plus 10% DOT damage. And wave 15 you get plus 35% range plus 20% DOT damage and plus 5% damage. If the unit being buffed is Johnny Infinite Spin, all lessons give an additional 5% buff to him. Lesson 1 and 2 happen instantly. Lesson 3 learned at wave 8. Lesson 5 is learned at wave 12. Lesson 5 gives Johnny plus 50% elemental damage and plus 40% range. And then beyond the spin, if Johnny Infinite Spin is equipped on your team with Gyro, Johnny deals 300% damage to water enemies and loses his disadvantage to nature enemies. That's crazy. Johnny and Gyro gain plus 25% range, and Johnny regenerates 2 nails instead of 1. So Gyro is definitely a good pair with Johnny. I, we'll see. Let's see what his damage is. So we'll go ahead. Let's go 1, 2. Oh wait, let me go ahead and turn my attack animations on. I forgot I have those off. Okay. And then next one we have Ball Whirlwind. We're doing 826 mil every 4.86 seconds. Let's see, we have an ability perfect ratio. Upon activation, inflict perfect ratio to all enemies on map, which perfect ratio is a consumable status effect upon the next use of time stop. Remove this effect and increase the duration of the next time stop by 4 seconds, and once that time stop ends, you deal 50% of the unit's damage. It's not bad, not bad. You get any other passives? No. You know, honestly, for just being Overlord Glorious, he's actually not doing bad damage at all. He has a little 5% boost, but honestly, if I can get him with Avatar, he is a pretty decent unit to use with Johnny. Okay, so next, let's do Valentine next. All right, so Valentine 3 million placement every 2.79 seconds. He is 782 to max out, so we have 7 upgrades as well with this one. Let's see what passes we got. Dimensional Hop. Every attack you spawn a clone for 3 attacks. The clone has crippled, and he does 30% of Valentine's current damage in same range SPA and other stats, skill tree included. The clone's passive is mirroring. If Valentine, the main unit, has attacked within 2 seconds of this unit's attacking, then he deals 50% of Valentine's damage on the following attack, and the clone lasts 1 extra attack, plus 2 attack duration cap. Interesting. Let's go ahead. Not the American flag on the floor. We have True Democracy. Oh, looks like we got a few of them. And now we have Love Car. 120 seconds after placement, and if it's upgrade 4 plus, gain access to this ability. Okay. So there is a time dilation before you can use this ability, even if you get to the upgrade. So upon activation for the next 120 seconds, all enemies take plus 25% damage, and anytime a unit on the map crits, that crit damage is redirected to a random enemy in range, dealing 75% of the crit's damage. Redirection occurs 3 times, 1 redirect per second, and each redirection reduces the damage of the following redirection by 15%. Interesting.
it's a slight buff in damage. Yeah, honestly, it's a little confusing to me. I'd have to test out really one. Anytime you get under my crits, that crit damage redirected to a random unit in range. Okay, so if it crits, the crit goes to a different unit. Or not different unit, different enemy. And then they also 75% of that crit damage. So it can redirect the crit that's happening onto somebody else. That's interesting. We have Dojin. Oh. And final upgrade, 615 mil every 3.49 seconds. It's not bad. We have Dimensional Collapse. Upon activation for the next 45 seconds, you gain plus 50% damage. All enemies in range will be removed from the map, only able to be attacked by Valentine and his clones. Be removed from the map. That's an interesting way to phrase that. You kill the strongest enemy affected by this ability. It does not work on bosses, and other enemies have a 1% chance to instantly die each second until the duration ends. Once the ability ends, you gain the following buffs for 60 seconds. Gain plus 1% damage times the number of enemies affected by ability. Clones gain plus 0.25% damage and increased duration of clones spawned by 3 attacks. Okay, so for this, let's go ahead and use that so I can get enemies to spawn in range. Let's try to get as many of them as possible within range. Alright, let's go ahead and use that. And now he's at 908 mil. I couldn't see how many enemies we had, but so now he should gain damage times the ability once the buff ends. Alright, now you just gotta wait. There you go, now I went back down. Alright, so yeah, it looks like that was his max damage. Cooldowns aren't bad. 300 global, 400 global. That's not bad, not bad. Alright, so on to the next. Let's do Gap. Alright, we got 3 mil. Oh, wow, all of them 3 mil placement, and then 4.17 seconds. Let's see, we got Detonation, which deals ×2 damage after detonation has been inflicted on enemy for 5 seconds. Once the explosion happens, deal another 0.5% damage. 3 ticks over 2 seconds. It's an interesting damage output. And we also have Soaked. Let me, sorry, let me just upgrade this real quick so I don't lose. Every 5 attacks, you have property bubbles. Activate 1 of the 3 property bubbles. It's random per enemy. Restriction bubble, you inflict restrict on enemies for 10 seconds, which restrict, it disables their functions, and if cloners under this effect, it will not duplicate upon death. This is very useful. Remove elemental disadvantages from water element units in range for the duration of restrict. The friction bubble, you inflict stun, which steals 1% of their current HP every second for 4 seconds, with a 20 billion cap per tick and 100 billion cap per proc. 15% current enemy speed for 10 seconds after the stun lifts, and Thunder Bubble, you have inflict shred on enemy and they take 15% more damage for the duration of shred. And then we have explosion bubbles every third property. I'm doing something, you're gonna have to change. Every third property bubble activation, deal 100% damage, inflict detonation in range, gain plus 15% damage, gain plus 30% range, activate property bubble every other attack. It's not a bad passive. Alright, so how much are you? Almost a mil. So we got Auto Barrage. Nice. We got 120 mil now. Star Bubble. It's a very nice attack. I like that. I'm doing 878 mil every 9 seconds. And I gain any new passives? No. Upon activation, gain the following buffs for 100 seconds, plus 30% damage, plus 30% range, minus 10% SPA, and unlock the beyond passives. Choose between 3 of the bubbles, and the chosen bubbles apply to range for every 5 attacks during the bubble inflicted from the property bump. Okay. So We'll do that one. Now we're at 98 mil every 8 seconds. It's not bad, not bad. Alright, let's move on to Aw View. Brother, what is this range? 95 on placement is crazy. Alright, let's see what we got here. Aw View has 3 zones. He has inner zone, 30 range, middle zone, 75 range, outer zone is 4 range. Once an enemy enters range, take 10% of all views current damage every second, plus 5% more damage for every clone he has spawned, plus 20% increased cap after enemies stay in the outer zone for 15 seconds. Take plus 5% damage for each additional second in range, plus 100% increased cap. Maximum possible damage per second is 130%. Jeez. And you have Calamity Zone. Upon entering new zones, enemies are inflicted with different effects. Outer zone is stun, middle zone is stun plus random effect, inner zone is stun plus 3 random effect while enemies in range take more damage from Calamity passive based on current zone for the next 30 seconds. 100%, 150%, 200%. That's crazy. And you have the spare section out of bad passive to start with. You're 595. Let's go. 1, 2. We got Unseen Danger. Jeez, that's a huge AoE. Slight rain. Oh my. Oh, oh my. That range is astronomically crazy. And we got a bill every 9 seconds with 319 range. Oh my gosh. Post-death resonance. Upon activation, spawn a clone beside a random unit in range. Spawn a clone will have 50% off view current damage, 10% of the unit he is spawned to, 300 mil cap, and take on the unit's range in which he is spawned to. Clone lasts for 6 seconds and you gain passive Calamity Clone. It's a 30-second cooldown. So we spawned it here. So the clone's doing 541 mil. Applies his own status effect. This clone has 50% chance to reapply the effect to the enemy once it has expired. That is not bad at all. Not bad at all. Jeez, there's so much happening now. Alright. Let's put it on ×1. Let's get rid of you. Alright, let's put you here. Now for the godly. So, I do know about the whole Tusk thing. I will have to probably just fast forward past that when I get to Tusk 4, but let's see. Growing Resolve. This unit's stats is influenced based on Tusk current Tusk Act. Act 1, he gets minus 5% SPA. Act 2, minus 10% SPA. Plus 5% range, 5% damage. Act 3 is minus 15%, plus 10% range, plus 10% damage. Act 4 is minus 20% SPA, plus 15% range, 50% damage, immune to stuns, plus 10% nail damage. You see the nail bar. Every third attack Johnny performs on the same enemy perform different functions based on his current Tusk Act. Act 1 to 2 perform a 20% damage follow-up attack. Act 3 perform 35% damage follow-up attack and apply slow. The enemy takes plus 15% damage from Johnny and Tusk for 15 seconds. And then Act 4 inflicts stun, perform 100% damage follow-up attack. Ignore elemental resistance and deal 10% damage every second for 5 seconds and apply shred after 5. Jeez. Alright. I'm getting kind of tired of reading now, so that I'm also about to lose.
Alright, let's go ahead and check out Tusk. So we have 21 mil, 3.47 seconds. We're on Act 1. So it is Evolution. This unit permanently evolves as you use it. Act 2 requirements get to upgrade 3. Act 2 you gain plus 15% damage, get a new attack, increase the size, and unlock one more upgrade. And then you have Shockwave. For every 5 enemies that enter range, inflict crippled. To all enemies in range, from slow enemies in range by 5%, increase slow value by 2.5% per act at advancement. Alright, so we get to upgrade 3, so let's go ahead and now we got Tuck 2. Learn the power of the spin. That's crazy. Not the text dialogue. So now we're on Act 2. So now active requirements. Inflict cripple 25 times using shockwave passive. Use golden spin passive 3 times. And then we have to reach upgrade 4. So we'll go ahead and upgrade you. Every 5 times Johnny activates golden nails, inflict bleed to all enemies in range, and attack the strongest unit in range, and inflict stun. Okay, so for him to activate golden nails, fires it every 17 seconds. Alright, so let's go ahead and do this. Alright, while we look at that, let's go ahead and upgrade Johnny. Spatial wormhole. Let's go ahead and turn you back on. Then, got herbal tea. Upon activation, gain the following buffs for 60 seconds, -3 second cooldown for golden nails. Nail meter is no longer reduced, gain 50% damage. And nails now deal 50% damage instead of 40%. 200-second cooldown. Oh, and now he went to Act 3. Let's go. So we'll turn that. And now we have Chumimin. It's a 576 mil now. We have Wormhole. Choose an area and range for Johnny and test the teleport 2. If activated, automatically skip this effect. Upon teleporting, activating automatic deals 50% damage and range. 35% enemy speed for 30 seconds. Knock back enemies for 5 seconds. If Tusk exports 10 seconds. If an enemy leaves range while under slow from this ability, inflict mutilate off Tusk damage. That's crazy. Alright, we'll save this ability for a second. Let's go back to Tusk Act 3. So now for Act 4 requirements, we have to get upgrade 5. It's doing 9 mil every 4 seconds. It's not bad. So now we need to use Johnny's Wormhole 2 times, activate Golden Spin EX 3 times, inflict pressure on 50 enemies, Golden Spin EX. Okay, so it just needs to pop that. Now we have a Stable Vortex. If this unit has not defeated any enemy in 5+ attacks now inflict unstable. The stable causes 25% of user's damage to be dealt to enemies in a 15 range radius upon the enemy's death. These effects expire after this unit has defeated any enemy. Noted, noted. Alright, so again, let's go ahead and do that. That should allow it to proc the nails. Alright, so we need to use Wormhole. Now let's teleport you there. And it's a cooldown. I don't know if it resets. I'm pretty sure the acts stay, which whatever they are. So let's go ahead and turn you. Alright, so now we've used it twice. Just need to activate Golden Spin and inflict pressure. Are any of them even inflicting pressure? No, we are not. Oh, there we go. Okay. And now he's Tusk Act 4. Alright, so now we go to upgrade 6. We're doing 1.32 bill every 4 seconds, or 1.15 now. You unlock anything. True ability, inflict infinite spin on all enemies in range. Forcefully enter Dark Determination mode for 60 seconds. Unstable Vortex now activates after 1 attack without a kill. At max evolution, you gain plus 35%, plus 15 range. Johnny grants, he gets plus 15% damage in range You unlock all your upgrades. Infinite spin. Inflict infinite spin, increasing Johnny's damage dealt against his enemy by 25% when marked enemies leave this unit's range. Permanently receive 3% damage per second. Reverse movement for 15 seconds. One time global occurrence. Apply permanent despair after surviving 60 seconds outside of this unit's range. Dark Determination. After Johnny kills 30 enemies marked with infinite spin, target the strongest unit on the map each attack, regardless of positioning. The strongest enemy is already in AoE, deal plus 50% damage instead. After this unit targets the strongest enemy on map 10 times, enter Dark Determination mode for 60 seconds. Upon entering Dark Determination mode, gain plus 30% damage, 30% range, and minus 10% SPA, and every 3 attacks forcibly activate Unstable Vortex, increase infinite spins damage multiplier from 30% to 15%. That's just an upgraded thing of that. Same with these. So enemy of special typing enters 70% of current range. Extinguish. Reapply extinguish for 30 seconds in range, 200% of the unit damage. Every second for 5 seconds, and after 5 seconds, permanently receive plus 50% damage from Johnny's Golden Nails. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot happening. Alright, let's go ahead. Say the man. The boss died. Alright, let's go ahead and just do that. Now he's at 1.58 bill every 3 seconds. And then Johnny's at 781 mil. And now we have Final Lesson. Upon passive activation, gain the following plus for 60 seconds. Plus 50% damage, plus 50% range, minus 25% SPA, gain Silt. Nails activate every 2 seconds. Nail meter is no longer reduced, and reduce wormhole cooldown to 60 seconds. Inflict infinite spinning range. So let's go ahead. Now we're at 927 mil every 2.48 seconds. Plus 125% range is crazy. Let's see. So right now, this is what we have. Minus 20% SPA, 50% range, 50% damage to immune stun, 10% no damage. And we inflict stun, perform 100% damage for local attack, ignore the multi resistance, deal 10% damage every second. For 5 seconds, apply shred after 5 seconds. That's fine. You're using the fire nail every 10 seconds and regenerate nail every 7. And reverse movement for 6 seconds, inflict hemorrhage off of 35% current damage, and enemies receive plus 10% damage from Johnny and Tusk. And plus 50% cap for 30 seconds, drain 2% current HP, 200 billion damage cap, 8-second cooldown. Not bad, not bad. He also does more damage for every um, physical type. He gains plus 5% range and 2% damage. So since they're all physical, he's gaining. They also gain plus 5% damage. So yeah. So this is basically it. Um, it was kind of very rushed. I'm very tired, and I also have things I have to go do. Um, I was gonna do the video a little differently, but it's fine for right now. But yeah, I hope you all enjoy. Like I said, I'm very tired. So, but yeah, you have a good one. That's all the units for today, and I'll see y'all soon.